So Jeanine Pirro goes on television. She says, as though this is fraud, she says that they found so many babies and 2-year-olds and 4-year-olds who were receiving Social Security. I've got a notice for you, Jeanine Pirro. Those babies get Social Security because their parents died. That's not a waste. That's humanity. That's America.
Representative Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, who has been doing this cross-country tour combating the oligarchy that is growing in our country like a cancer, takes a shot at one of those oligarchs, Jeanine Pirro, who, like many of the Fox News contributors, took another opportunity to prove once more that they don't live in the same universe that the rest of us do. Jeanine Pirro didn't have to worry about Social Security survivor benefits. She probably never even heard of that. She has $1 million trust, and all her friends have $1 million trusts they're leaving around. Matter of fact, she didn't have to worry about any portion of the social safety net, and probably needs a pair of binoculars to even see it from way top her ivory tower. But don't take AOC's word for it. Watch Jeanine yourself.
We found out that there are people who are between the ages of 1 and 4 are getting Social Security, that we've got something like $69 million of taxpayers who are dead.
Okay, but let me just finish.
I'm assuming that they edited out the mustache twirling that she no doubt did while she was reading that line. But just like Christopher Columbus discovering America, or Donald Trump realizing that health care was kind of complicated, Jeanine Pirro here, like many Republicans, has found out something that millions of people knew about before her. And when I saw the AOC clip, I just assumed that Jeanine Pirro had never heard or didn't understand what Social Security survivor benefits were. But Jessica Tarlow kind of checked her as she was saying it, and she didn't stop or slow down. It's almost like she didn't really care. And she's pro-life, mind you. Pro-life, especially when it comes to telling other women what to do with their bodies. But when it comes to taking care of orphans, 1 to 4, mind you, she couldn't care less. So what if your parents died? Stop all that crying and pooping in your diaper and pick yourself up by your bootstraps and go back to the coal mines like I did when I was young. Who cares if you got dead parents and you're 1 or 4, 1, 2, 3, or 4 years old? But it's not just actual dead people that the Trump administration is targeting.
And then the White House is also looking to bring other agencies not normally tasked with immigration enforcement into its mass deportation efforts. As part of that push, the Social Security Administration added thousands of migrants authorized to work in the U.S. to a list of people who have been declared dead. So this makes them ineligible to obtain work authorization or receive government benefits. News Nation's Brooke Schaefer has the latest details on this story. Brooke, what's the logic behind this move?
Well, Marky, we should really point out here that all of the people impacted by this do have temporary legal status here in the U.S.
The Trump administration has discovered that deporting people is kind of complicated. You kind of got to go to a court and ask for permission and provide evidence and all that other red tape legal mumbo jumbo. It's a whole lot easier to just declare people dead. Well, and the right has been, at least as long as I've been alive, reported to be pro-law and order and for lawful immigration. In fact, their only argument against in support of these inhumane and clumsy mass deportation efforts that we've existed in is that, well, if you didn't want to get snatched up and randomly sent to a random country that you're not from, you shouldn't have come here illegally. You shouldn't have broken the law to get here. But oops, these 6,000 people did not break the law to be here. They are here legally, and they got put on a death list anyway. And we're not talking about just receiving governmental benefits. I mean, these people cannot gain lawful employment. They cannot open up a bank account. They can do a bunch of other things that is required to live here. They've had their identity completely stripped away from them. And spoiler alert, they did it without due process like they've done, like the Trump administration has done this entire time.
They are selling this change as a common sense decision, a White House spokesperson saying in part, President Trump promised mass deportations, and by removing the monetary incentive to come and stay, we will encourage people to self-deport. The Social Security Administration, though, it says that an incorrect death report, it can cause serious financial hardship. Marky?
And Brooke, this latest Trump administration tactic is already getting some pushback. Who's speaking out against this?
Yeah, and really sort of on that same note there, the critics of this change say that stripping migrants of their Social Security numbers is really setting them up for financial murder, one person said, and that moving living people to the so-called death list violates privacy laws meant to protect people's personal data. They warn that targeting immigrants could impact the broader public. A Senate Finance Committee ranking member said that this move will victimize American citizens who've had their identity stolen or who have been neutralized. So really a big conversation here.
Cartoonish villainry aside, I mean, this whole thing is wholly inhumane, unnecessary, and dangerous. When you start nonsensically manipulating a system that was ordinarily operated by career professionals before now, that hundreds of millions of Americans rely upon, you're headed for disaster. The Social Security Administration is not an immigration enforcement agency. It's not really even a law enforcement agency. It's an administrative agency that should be shielded from the maniacal plans of our schizophrenic president. I mean, if he wants immigration reform, there's a legal way to do that. The Republican-controlled House and the Republican-controlled Senate and our Republican president could get together, pass a law in accordance to whatever his wishes may be. There's a legal way to do that. If he wants mass deportation, there's also a legal way to do that. His Justice Department can file cases en masse against undocumented immigrants and go to court and request that their visas be, not visas, but request that they be denied entry to this country and deported. There's a legal way to do that. He just don't want to bother with other branches of government because he's been ruling this country as though he has absolute power. And he's been wielding that absolute power first against undocumented immigrants who were criminals. And then he moved on to ordinary undocumented immigrants who had committed no crime. And now he's on legal residents. And you can guess who's next on that train to disaster. But this whole thing has underscored a systemic issue among the right. Certainly not everybody on the right, because his approval rating is in the toilet. But certainly folks like Jeanine Pirro, who couldn't give a piss about 2-year-old orphans, to Donald Trump, who is using the federal agency to torture legal residents whose only crime was waiting around for the American dream to happen to them. I mean, really, he's the one that's defying court orders, so perhaps we should send him to El Salvador.